Oh, I know. But I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that.
Even though during that day, he was more than likely walking around with you like a zombie, the way he is right now. You're probably holding his hand as if he was a puppet or a toy.
Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed.
Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. He may well have time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that he was without doubt the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. And one of these witnesses is a policeman, no less. So you appreciate the gravity of this situation, I'm sure. Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all the talking. Although the jurors are having, like, quite interesting reactions over here. Well, that is definitely not in our favor. They are looking at a policeman. Like, if a policeman... like, your mind tends to go with the idea that if a policeman says that something is something, then the jurors are definitely gonna think that a lot more. Rather than if the witness was somebody else that is not a policeman. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. Alright. Let's see what this is going to be about. What the witnesses saw.
It was our wedding anniversary, and Roly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the policeman's beat?
Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men. Women, children, and elderly can't even apply.
Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can do the job, can't you?
I think Roly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. He sits you down the ground, doesn't it, darling? Hmm? Huh? Ah, I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there.
Is he talking in his sleep? Oh, this is creepy. It's just pure coincidence. He's actually dreaming over here, and the conversation that he's having in a dream, like, coincides with what we're talking about right over here.
Oh no, Roly. I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes, I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear. That doesn't seem healthy.
Again, puppeteering attitude right over here. Kindly hear the point. You're going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct?
That's right, sir. Yes. Although, I was fit to drop, to be honest. After spending the whole day on my feet. But policing is my life, sir. As long as I am proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end.
Metropolitan Police Warrant Card. What's that now?
My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to us all policemen of our sworn duty. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, and for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know that the plodding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure.
So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then.
But sir, just on that particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Miss Pete puts up with a lot being married to a Bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care.
Arr. Oh my.
Oh, Pat.
Oh, Roly. Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold.
If a little over the top, perhaps.
And then, kind of describe what happened next.
He had quite a lot of energy there. It's not like he's gonna be completely silent throughout all this.
Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes.
That's right. They were coming towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print. And like Mr. Natsume.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it does. And you're certain that at the time there was nobody else nearby.
Yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling?
Huh? Oh yeah, that's right. Of course. There was a light fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street lighting as well. I didn't see any other... This...
Before sleep takes a firm hold. Your answer, please, Mr. Beat. Are you quite sure of what you just said?
Yes, sir. As a couple who spends all day, every day, keeping watch on the streets, I'd swear to it, sir. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat.
Oh, Roly.
I'm still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker.
It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened.
It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run.
No, that didn't stop Mr. Nutsman, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly.
Alright, thank you. I believe we may have a reasonably clear idea of the situation, just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed?
All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off.
Hold it!
What did you see scattering off? Scattered something. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, I couldn't quite make it out what it was at the time. But then we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling?
Huh? Yeah, that's right. Here are some old books.
See, old books.
Yes, sir. The culprit had dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print.
That rotten Japanese man did when he did. That rotten Japanese man did that when he did that deed.
Hold it!
Alright, let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker.
Always saw him. He was the man in the dock without question, sir. The moustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose, everything.
Any more insults you want to throw in? Maybe some more racist jokes in regards to him, maybe?
That's right. He looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes. And then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away.
I see. This is tough. It seems as though they're telling the truth here. So far, yeah, I'm not seeing like any inconveniences yet, I guess. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Yeah, we get it. Now please, continue.
Yes, sir.
He ran straight over the course, and then went for help at a nearby box. Police box.
Was it your husband who went to fetch help?
No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of one, after all. Isn't that right, my darling?
What? Yeah, that's right. I asked Miss Pete to go. I was off duty by that point. But the Bobby is never truly off duty, of course. So I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene.
Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance.
That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box.
Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box? It's a box of surprises for the policeman.
Depends on the crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia to wait to the police box for the beat. The incident fell under, so she could go and report it.
I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There is nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know.
And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two model citizens.
Oh, please. You're making us blush. Isn't he, darling?
Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir.
Alright, let's move on, shall we? Alright. One more statement right over here. You saw him clear as day. Well, they also gave a little bit of description of him. But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas treatments, would you?
We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight. I have you know.
Right. With all the fog and with all the raining and such, your eyes would totally adapt to that.
The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he?
Yeah. And what of the fog?
We're famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course.
Oh, it is. When it's thick, you cannot even see the hand at the end of your own arm.
Yeah. Alright, I take your point.
Now, could you stop shaking your husband about before you end up strangling him to death?
The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure, and certainly it was that little Japanese man we saw.
I guess that's why you have your eyes like that.
Can't we, darling?
What? Ah, yes. He was the accused and no mistake. The moustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, unmistakable, sir.
Yeah, as far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Soseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony.
What do you think, Miss Naruto?
Yeah, I won't lie, I don't see much here. I had to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they saw. This what they say they saw. I guess one thing to question is if there was really like any police box there to begin with. It's not me running away from the scene of Briar Road that day.
Yeah, I feel the same.
So if that's true, where does it leave us?
The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony.
Oh no. We cannot afford another one of those.
If Cosmo-san were here,
What are you trying to say?
I think he would try to find the contradiction somewhere else within their testimony.
What do you mean, somewhere else? Somewhere else?
Their statement about seeing his nutsmate is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts...
Some other part of their testimony.
you might be able to discredit them, to make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate. But simply, you must focus on finding a discrepancy in the statement somewhere. If you don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an unfavorable conclusion.
Why do I always seem to be so up against it?
Mr. Lawyer, sir? Can I ask you something?
Oh? Oh? Yeah, of course. What is it?
Oh, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... It seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it? Now, out with it. I'm gonna punch you to death. Boom, boom.
And they are cute sometimes together. No, it's really not that at all.
My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail. Everything. Like... Oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped?
What about them?
I could tell you the names of every single one I could. Every single one. And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is.
That will do, Miss Beat.
No, you won't do it all.
Yes. Do more mistakes. More mistakes. Can you tell us some more stuff about the books?
That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. And if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a minute that Roly will. If he wasn't a policeman, he would totally be a boxer. Bam bam!
I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please put your husband's fist down. Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Miss Beat. Might that appease you?
Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling?
Unless we are walking into a trap here, I guess.
I could even tell you the names of the books.
Of the 4 books... 4 books, you say?
Hold it!
4 books, you say? Yeah, we know that there were books dropped at the scene of the crime, as you say. Those purchased by the accused at the nearby second-hand bookshop on the day in question.
After I've been to the police box for help, I decided to have a good look over the area for a good measure. I'm a proud policeman's wife, after all. I did it for Roly.
And what was your husband doing at the time?
He was lying face down in the snow, getting some well-deserved rest. He works ever so hard, you know. Ever so hard. Don't you, my darling?
Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime. Well, Miss Beat, seems as if you regale the court with tales of your powers of collection. Would you be so kind as to recount the titles of the books you'd observed at the scene?
I'd be happy to. Now, are you all listening? There was the picture of Monsieur Somebody or Other, and What's It Yearnings. And then there was, a meal for someone. And the last one was definitely the thingamagummies something. The thingamabob. You see?
Perfect recollection. Yeah, I see there are 1 or 2 holes in your memory.
Oh, they were along those lines, I'm quite sure.
There were indeed books found at the scene with titles along those lines, as you put it.
Well, what did I tell you? So I think it's very mean the way you've been implying that my pet testimony cannot be trusted. Don't you agree, darling?
Whoa! Anyone who upsets my Patricia will have me to answer to. Okay, never mind. I don't know. I'm having second thoughts about him having to be like a boxer. I think he is packing heat like quite well without being a boxer. Terrifying. Yeah, sure it is. She? So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony. And then she's gonna add up with more testimony that is gonna fuck them up. Imagine that, like, okay, now we have something that we can contradict, but then, oh my, she's gonna add like another statement that is gonna fuck her up, and we can choose from the two. But then, she's gonna add another statement, another contradictory one that we can totally use. We have like 5 choices that we can go through. I wonder if that sort of testimony is ever gonna happen. I don't think it happened like in the past.
What do you think, Miss Naruto?
Okay, well, I think that we actually got it. And I think that we can use some evidence right over here. Okay, well, this is pretty much the same, apparently. So, let's go through this, shall we? Let's go to where he really counted the books right over here. You were pretty good in telling us the names of the books, but what about the number of books? Right here, it says that the number of books is 3, not 4. So you're saying that there were 4 books?
That's right. I remember all of them. The picture that Monsieur somebody... What's it, yearnings? A meal for someone... The thingamies something.
I'm sorry, Miss Beat. But there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours.
Oh no. What flaw? I knew it. It wasn't thingamagami something. It's a Jimabob something.
No! Simply that, at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4!
What?
Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see, there are only 3 books.
But no, that can't be. I saw them. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, you cannot fool me.
Sorry?
It's that big old lump of dead body. The lady's so large, her corpse is blocking the view of the 4th book. That's all.
Well, let's at least try to remember that the poor woman isn't dead, even if we're assaulting her size. No, I'm sorry, Miss Peter. But Mr. Nazman could not possibly have dropped the 4 books you describe.
Why not?
Fascinating. Oh, are you coming in to help us with the contradiction there, Van Zix? And from your short tone, something you can readily substantiate with evidence, I presume. Yeah, I think we can. Counsel, you'll present evidence to substantiate your claim, or withdraw it. What proof do you have that the accused did not drop 4 books? Well, there's also this. There's a receipt of his with free books. Canterbury Yearnings, A Meal for Gaboriou, The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq. Free books, not for.
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in the form of this bookshop receipt. From your books. Yes, this receipt details Mr. Natsmith's purchase that day. Why do I feel like a sense of deja vu here? As you can see, only 3 books are listed. No. Therefore, Mr. Natsmith could have only dropped 3 books at the scene of the crime. Which means that your powers of observation, madam, cannot be relied upon.
Ugh.
So it cannot be denied that though you may say it was the defending son, you could very well be mistaken.
Oh no. No, no, no. No!
Objection!
It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accursed running from the scene. The accursed? Maybe you meant accused. Nope. I did mean it when I say accursed. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving. Should I prepare myself for a hellish attack? For a chilly, bony attack from the land of the dead? So you've striven to avert attention from that bit by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Will that be fair? He sees right through me. But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. Tell a policeman's wife, and her entirely accurate testimony, in every respect. So you're saying that there were 4 books?
Oh,
You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found. Okay. How come we were never told of this before?
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right. Only 3 can be seen in that print. Don't tell me that she was actually right about the victim's size. Allow me to present another. One that shows the victim's hand. I don't believe it. Huh. That book looks... okay. What an interesting title you have there. It's the 4th book. As you will observe. The 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. Order! Order! The Lion's Pride. Well, it surely was not Natsmith's book, that's for sure.
there. You see? You see? Look at that. Look right over there.
Yes. Now, can you please stop strangling your husband?
It's just like I said. Isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's all right. Patricia's always right, sir.
Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please.
Yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other.
The way you pronounce those titles, it made me sneeze there, Miss Beat.
Please. The picture of Monsieur Lecoq.
What's it, earnings?
Canterbury earnings.
A meal for someone.
Nil for Gabolier effect. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. Beat's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional.
Did you hear that, Roly? The gentleman paid me a compliment.
Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt. And Mrs. Beat mentioned 4.
There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly the 4th book is that which is shown in this sort of print.
I'm sorry, Counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt?
Well, one could say normally that it was Olivia's book. It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4 books was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim.
The victim was holding her own book? Oh my goodness! The victim holding her own book that she was more than likely reading before. How?
I wonder, what became of that 4th book?
Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence.
You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, Counsel.
My pleasure, my lord.
Alright, the second crime scene photograph and the 4th book, The Lion's Pride. Okay then.
The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add.
What?
You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. This beauteous longer route to the accursed lodgings that you tried to establish in your submersion examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination.
Futile? I'll walk right into this, didn't I? Well, I do have to admit, with all that has been said, I wouldn't say that a lot of progress has been made, but at the same time, we have made progress. It's just that there are a lot of things that have been discovered so easily. It feels like it feels like entertainment to him.
See? Everything we said is true. Isn't that right, my darling?
Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat.
So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions. Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already?
Uh-oh. Oh, we gotta do this quick. Renosuke. We have to do something before they decide to be all guilty.
You have heard all the witnesses and seen all the evidence.
This trial has run its course.
Listen, Rondon. I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position.
I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Renosuke, think. What do you do now? Raise an objection, whether you know something or not.
We gotta use some time right over here. I'm not done yet. No, my little friend. It's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense. And you failed. The die has been cast. There is no room for debate.
Yeah, there definitely is. There definitely is. I think that you should read a little bit more of that Lion's Pride yourself. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but actually before we go forward with this, let me see some stuff. There is like quite a bit of a thing going on right over here. Like it's very... Yeah, look at this. This is burnt up.
The book has been badly burnt.
Right. You'll never be able to read it in this state. Especially not the later pages.
What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently.
A burned book. Lion's Pride. I think that we can all agree on the actual owner of this book. Like, Zeke said that this belonged to the victim. But... a book recently damaged by fire. I wonder. There are certain red flags that are raised in my head right over here. A book entitled The Lion's Pride. The book cover is badly burnt. Okay, anything else?
You see, it's a book entitled The Lion's Pride.
I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all. So it won't be something I've heard. Wait a minute. The Lion's Pride. That's strange. I think I've heard of a book by that name before. Very recently, too.
It's a title I recognize too, Miss Naruto.
Yeah, it certainly makes me question how this book managed to get in Olivia's hands. Like, I wonder if it has something to do with when the fire started in Gardev's house. They had to open the window and they saw that the book was like, well, now it's completely useless because he cannot read all of it anymore. So they threw the book, and then Olivia just saw the book on the pavement and grabbed it, like before the incident happened. Is there anything that tells us that that this was Gardev's? I guess not yet. I'll think of what to say.
If I may, Lord Van Zieks. It seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point.
Your insignificant little eastern owl must be a lawless hoe indeed. Hey! Watch your language here. For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. It's okay, it's okay. Continue. Come on. I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you'll have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions available.
Miss Naruto.
One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance. So, the court will hear you, madam. Thank you, Judge. Go ahead, Miss Sato. Please. Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further?
Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished.
Yeah, that is another point. How come we have never been told about this before, like at the beginning? I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you?
Miss Naruto, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. Of course, he is sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So you must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible.
Yeah, I understand. And thank you, Miss Sato. Right, this is it. Sato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. Thank you, Susato. The defense wishes to present the evidence, my lord. Menacing. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case, and has hitherto been overlooked. It will be this book, right over here. The Lion's Pride discovered in the victim's hand, and the back cover is badly burnt. Which, now that I'm thinking about it... Oh, okay. I was thinking that these two books were actually different, because right over here, like, yeah, it's similar to the other book. I was thinking that in the picture, even the face is burnt and all that, but no. It's from this angle that we see the back of the book as well, with burnt right over here, but nonetheless, this is the evidence. The evidence in question is, we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book, found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
We have already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as we all know. I guess so. Now we know what Herlock Sholmes' what connection Herlock Sholmes made between what is happening here and what happened at Gary Depp's home. This book right over here. Herlock Sholmes found this book, this burned book, and then checked the place, and we did that whole dance of deduction thing. And then he realized, there's the connection. So this is where the book came from. Yeah. Now we can make the connection. There. Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear? Oh, yes, my lord. It's,
Miss Naruto, I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence. Which means, maybe I will be on the right track.
Yeah. He talked about the book, but he never talked about the burnt side. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case, which this fourth book conceals? It would have to be right over here, Your Honor. I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. In the back? Will you... Good gracious! It's been burned to a crisp. So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing.
Objection!
Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nepalese friend? No. Were I to concede a point, If it bears no relation to the case, there is nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day? Pray, do enlighten us at all. What truth does this chart book hide? Chart book. There's just one possibility here, which I cannot quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but it is definitely worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, Council. Explain this theory of yours, because I have to go and take my tea. What are you suggesting that you can insert from the fire damage this sorry tome has suffered? The shop that sold it, its owner, its content. I guess so. We did talk about the possibility of having Gardeb and the maid right over here, so we can talk to them further about some stuff that happened. And, well, I guess we are on that track. My lord, the button on the back of this book reveals a startling truth about the book's owner. I beg your pardon?
But we only know who the book belongs to.
Now I'm noticing, like, we looked at Patricia and Roly beats back, and they're actually wearing the same scarf. Like, they're both wrapped in the same scarf. Because when you look at their backs, like, it's all connected between the two of them.
The victim was gripping in her hand, and she fell to the floor after all. It's obviously hers.
The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how can you possibly... Oh, very well. Let the circus continue. I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Consul, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book? It would have to be... Kind of wish to have like Iris Wilson on the stand, but it's not that time yet. It is John Gardeb's time. The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Gardeb. The landlords. Oh, we're seeing Zix being shaken for the first time. And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence, or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but... Of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Gardeb herself.
Oh my goodness. Me?
Again, Adonoski, pay attention to how you say it. She's the maid, not the wife.
I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Gardeb's wife. I'm his maid.
Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Well, the others wouldn't think so. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Gardeb's house?
I would never presume to know all the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused landlady, you say? You implicate this hard-working member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below,
Another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garidev's house.
Whoa! What sort of incident, Castle?
A fire, my lord.
Afraid to say it was. Happened in a blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bolly thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bolly furniture started going up as well. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride.
Yeah. There's also your explanation for why the book is burned.
By Jove, the very same title that's the subject of this debate.
Oh dear me.
Objection!
This is risible. All you've told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire.
Like, you know, it would be considered a coincidence that we're talking about the same book right over here. But a coincidence that both books in question were on fire? I won't call it a coincidence at that point anymore. In which case, it will be reasonable to assume that it was burned to ashes.
And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime.
Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garidev was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garidev, even amid the flames.
Oh, how awful. I couldn't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you, Roly?
Like throwing flaming books at your husband, and it accidentally, it accidentally fell like out the window, because the window was open at that point because of the fire, and meanwhile, Mrs. Garidev was throwing flaming books at him.
Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir.
Had all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Boosh! Up in smoke. Then the wife started hurling things at me. There was I, backed up against the window, under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. The man had his back up against the window, and he had burning books thrown at him. Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Yeah, basically.
Objection!
Fire ahoy!
No. A thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident. And there is no report that Garidev's window pane being broken.
Not necessarily broken. And that's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garidev household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and...
Not even remotely. Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter.
Well, I can think of at least one option where the window would definitely be open at a specific time. Come on, Ryanosuke. Think about it. I mean, we thought about this before.
Does the defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, Counsel? They earnestly claim that the book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Garidev's wife.
Well, they're surely experienced in throwing projectiles at their enemies. They do have a yeah, I think that I can definitely say this in front of the judge. That they have a weapon of destruction that can destroy buildings even. Yeah, he had a cannon that can shoot things. I believe it's a possibility, my lord. I won't be surprised if the judge also has like a cannon.
That's quite enough. Well, I hope that everyone can see you for what you are now. You little foreign trickster. You call yourself a lawyer. You're just a coward. A mean coward.
Really?
Claiming that our little tiff set the whole neighborhood Claiming that our little tiff set the whole neighborhood alight. Honestly. Imply that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case. Not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name.
No, I assure you, that was never my intention. Although, indeed, as of now, it is completely irrelevant, like the detail of the maid being Gary Dev's wife, so you kinda shot yourself in the foot there, Hironosuke.
Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defense.
But
I should box your ears. That's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable.
that was like a automatic reaction that she has. She always does it to Gary Dev, but since he was not here, like the closest victim would be juror number 5. He dodged that pretty clearly. Too right. Oh, here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nipponese spouting out this nonsense foreign theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the moustache. And he ran away from the scene too.
I do declare you're right.
It's true.
Yes. What did I tell you?
Makes sense to me. Sorry? What's that? It would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. Oof. What is your position, Lord Von Zix? In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage. No, wait. The mystery of the 4 books still hasn't been... If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time. Yes, my lord. No, forgive the discourtesy this time? In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Also, prosecution, I would refrain from such sexual behavior that you're displaying right over here. I know, right? Like, we even have Susato right over here. Susato, cover your innocent eyes. You will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Ah, great. Thank you for that ambiguous response. Well, I did say that this trial, like, the trials in general are long. I guess this is gonna be no exception whatsoever. We're gonna have to go through this obstacle in order to continue. That's twice now. It's over.
It's not though. Don't give up.
Sato?
Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet.
You're not suggesting.
Of course. The defense has the right to another submission examination at this point.
Yeah, I mean, unless we were not told, it's not as if we only have like one summation examination, like, as our limit. We can do how many of these as we want.
You can still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance.
Okay. My lord, the defense has to exercise its right to a summation examination.
You believe you still have the tricks up your sleeve?
I don't need Trent to trick anyone. I intend to uncover the truth.
There's no time to be downcast.
As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined.